going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, and one more time for the good times. It's the final WrestleMania 41 preview, and that is Jake fucking DeMarco.
What's going on, my friend? We are moments away from beginning WrestleMania weekend. We've finally made it, and holy cow, is that not something to be happy about?
And we're going to attempt something here. We were saying this off air. We're going to attempt to kind of do this rapid fire, because if you guys haven't noticed, there's about 3 or 4 WrestleMania adjacent preview stuff. A lot of the more individual issues you and I have discussed in State of Wrestling to almost infinitesimal detail. We've brought in extra guests. We've had Cody, we've had Connor, we've had Jordan, we've had voices from all over the place. You and I have dissected most of the big stuff to death already. So it's going to be a case of match, who I think's going to win, who you think's going to win, little bit of conversation if we disagree, and then we carry on. Doesn't have anything to do with the fact that both of us are pressed for time or anything.
No, 14 matches,
Twiddling
2
hands,
nights,
switching fingers. Yes.
plus SmackDown in between.
Oh yeah, I guess we should touch on SmackDown as well. Very, very quickly, Chelsea Green and friends taking on Zelina Vega and friends. Do we see this? Because there's one less match on night 2 of WrestleMania. Do we see them using this to shoehorn in a U.S. title match? I wouldn't mind it.
I wouldn't mind it either, but I think it's probably going to just be Randy Orton gets his match.
Yeah. Okay, well, that was going to be my next thing. Randy Orton, is he taking on Aldis? Is he taking on Solo, or are we getting a surprise?
I hope it's Aldis. I think it's Solo, honestly.
I want it to be a surprise, honestly.
I hope it's a surprise, but...
I want it to be... I know people think I'm being hyper-specific about this. I still want it to be Aleister Black. Aldis will be a feel-good moment. Solo will be, hey, sorry we didn't have Kevin Owens for you. Obviously, we send our best to Kevin Owens, which is awesome. Hope he's doing okay. Mixed news stories on whether he's about to have surgery or he's had surgery, but either way, Kevin Owens is awesome. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn both noticeably missing from this card. Sami Zayn, I think, opted to take some time off, which is entirely fine. Like, do what you want to do, but miss him still. But him and Kevin Owens collectively being gone is a huge chunk that we didn't think we were going to be missing both. Street Profits versus Motor City Machine Guns?
Yeah, the tag titles have kind of just been, like, shared between a few different groups. Like, you get it, now you get it, now you get it. No one's had that great run or story yet. Everyone's had moments. I think they're going to retain here. I was going to say, if some type of outside interference.
If something newsworthy happens on SmackDown, all that's going to do is make me wish it was part of the WrestleMania card. So, title retention, just to keep it boring, just to keep it like, hey, good thing it was on SmackDown. Cena's going to be there one more time. Cena's going to talk to Cody. They're going to talk, and Cody's going to say some very righteous stuff, and Cena's going to continue being a dickhead. Like I say, we might find out what's going on with Randy Orton. Tag titles, the women's 6-person tag. The Andre, I'm just going to say The Miz, because I really don't care.
I mean, I don't even know everybody that's in it, and nor do I care at this point. That's been kind of a joke for a long time. Yeah.
I think a couple years ago, because they were trying to make SmackDown part of the WrestleMania weekend, I think they had the SmackDown listed as part of the WrestleMania card, so it was nice and easy for us. But they're not doing that, so I'm not going to bother. Any other particular surprises you want to see? Supposedly there's a rumor that, Living Colour are going to play Punk to the ring again because they're in town that day.
Yeah, they're already playing now for free out in Vegas on the Strip.
Nice.
So you can go and see them. I think tonight, might have been last night. I'm not sure, but I mean, we've got Mariah May exiting. People are saying we'll see her show up this weekend. I don't think it would be that quick, but talk about bad creative, right?
I think Mariah May would be an interesting, like, whoever wins the women's 4-way on NXT, she kind of pops up on the ramp like they used to do in the TakeOver days. Next contender, enters through the curtain, etc. Like we hinted at a lot last night. Leave an open door for some NXT TNA crossover as well, but also a lot of the new faces to WWE have gone to the main roster recently. I mean, other than Ricky Saints and the ladies that came in last year. Another good shot in the arm for the men's division if they have any other surprises for us. I mean, I don't think he needs to, but Aleister Black showing up on NXT would be cool.
Yeah.
But again, some people will take that as do they only want him in NXT thing? Because he's done his time in NXT, and it's one of those times where that fight might actually be fair. I could see him come back to NXT later on. Maybe. I could see him like establishing himself as a WWE main roster guy and then coming down to NXT as a main roster guy. Kind of like Finn did when Finn did a return run in NXT that was actually felt like a return, like a legacy run type of thing where he came in and immediately turned on DIY. But yeah, no, there's all kinds of fun stuff to talk about with NXT. If you're listening to us right now, Jake and I already took the time last night to preview Stand and Deliver. Oi, oi, oi.
Oi, oi, oi. Yeah.
Lots and lots of possibilities there.
More possibilities with that than Mania, I feel like. That has more options, more anybody can win feel, more like the women's four-way. Like I went back, Jada Parker could take that title, really. And that wouldn't be a bad thing either. I don't think anybody would be disappointed if they do it. If they have her have like an excellent standout match.
I still think for a moment like that, I'm leaning more towards Javon than I am her.
Yeah,
but
certainly.
I wouldn't mind it by any stretch.
You pick to win, and that could win. You know what I mean?
I wouldn't mind that by any stretch.
Really on both sides. Javon could win, and you know what I mean? Like I'm saying, like the rookies per se, people that haven't had a belt or anything.
Yeah. It was the oh, I forget what show it was now. But they had a show where basically at the end of the night they had both Julia and Oba on the stage and like celebrating their new champions and whatnot.
Yeah.
I forget what show that was now because I'm a horrible host. Maybe
something like that. Maybe not. It was something along those lines, though. I know it wasn't.
You know what it is? Like, not that it'll do anything to skyrocket. I'm going back a step now, but Carmelo Hayes wouldn't be a horrible shout for the Andre either.
Yeah, because Vengeance Day is when Stephanie won her title. Sorry, I'm trying to go back and think. So
Julia had it before then, yeah.
And I know it wasn't Roadblock because they faced each other then. It must have just been an NXT episode, yeah.
I've lost it completely. I know one of them was
because they had at the end of the night they both came out together. It was definitely that smaller stage show, yeah.
It was that building that looked like the outside of a building on the inside.
Yes.
Where the hell was that? It's going to bug me now. We're going to skip along because that's going to bug me and my memory is shit today. Heading into the main card, WrestleMania Night 1, rumored to be the opening match, which I don't know if I 100% agree with. Gunther versus Jay. It's Jay, isn't it?
Yes.
It's Jay.
It is.
We agree.
I thought it was Jimmy, but it could be Jay.
Fantastic. Oh. That would be it would be really funny if he shaved and they did like a twin magic thing.
I had thought of that a while ago.
Really funny to go back to the
whole his first title win.
Yeah, to go back to the days like remember all the promos that he cut on Roman and be like, hey, remember when they could barely tell you guys apart, blah 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 blah. A callback to that where like everybody kind of knows what's up and is in on the joke would be cool. Jey Uso's got to win. The haters at this point are just choking on their own saliva. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be a great way to start the night. He's the kind of character that wants to get that kind of win at the beginning of the night to set the pace for the whole weekend. Not including Stand and Deliver, oi, 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 obviously. Now, the complete counter to that, New Day's taking the tag titles, aren't they?
I think so. I think that's what's going to happen.
I want this to be a stipulation, and I wish, like, I know they can't do the Viking rules, like, do the whole boat thing because they kind of steered away from the cartoony stuff, but you could do a more serious version of a brawl, or at least make it a tornado match, something like that. I don't know. I'm pretty sure the New Day is either going to have the most ridiculous entrance ever, or to show that they're not the old New Day anymore, have them come out with like no pomp and circumstance whatsoever would be equally as effective. But yeah, Viking Raiders, War Raiders, I like them as a team. They haven't really been given anything to do. They kind of feel like they've been waiting for the New Day to come and take the belts. And I do have a very small inkling that if for some reason Jey Uso doesn't win the world title, then it's the reunited Usos that save those titles from the New Day. But that's another story for another day altogether. Here's one. We may disagree. Rey Mysterio and El Grande Americano.
Yeah, because I agree with you with the New Day. I think El Grande is winning this, but he might then get unmasked. Something like that will happen.
I think he'll win, and it'll necessitate a rematch, and the mask versus mask will happen at Backlash.
That's more than likely it. People are thinking he's going to get his mask ripped off here, and then Chad is, but I think there's more to the story still.
I do think it's hysterical, the people that are still clinging to the idea that El Generico might come in and make some kind of save, get himself involved, whatever you want to say. But if not for the case that, like, Sammy very legitimately asked for, like, hey, I'm not doing anything at Mania. I'd like to take some time off, do some family stuff, deal with some nagging. I think he said he was dealing with some nagging stuff as well, but it was more so like, I can sit this one out.
Yeah.
Also, huge rumors leaning towards him being the one to win the Saudi Rumble next year, which would be really awesome. One of the few people that can actually benefit from a win in that part of the world when there's so much controversy about them even being there.
Yeah, no kidding.
But yeah, I think El Grande, and then I think the babyfaces get it back next time around. Yeah. I think it would be, you have a really awesome opportunity to have all the luchadors. I mean, you could have all the LWO as well, but like specifically the luchadors like Phoenix and Ray, Ray, Phoenix, Penta, maybe even Axiom shows up for reasons, Dragon Lee, all save Rey Mysterio from getting his mask ripped off, and have a big, like, WWE's doing some cool lucha shit right now, like, show the luchadors, like, coming together and showing, what do you want to call it, like, support and reverence for the style.
And that's where we get the Chelsea Green title defense against Penta.
Ah, yes.
The rematch.
I really
thought,
after our conversation the other night about what's Shotzi going to do when she gets back, I'm doubling down on the whole idea of Chelsea and her fighting over the U.S. title, because we know what Chelsea's, or you know more than I do, but you know what Chelsea's done in Lucha Underground. And what did Shotzi say when she signed for NXT? She said she wanted to be the one to bring hardcore wrestling to WWE's women's division. So just play it off like it's some weird, like, Shotzi's a bit weird and Chelsea's a bit of a heel, even though everybody loves her and she's actually a babyface. Like, keep it super light, and then on the night have them destroy each other and nobody sees it coming.
Yeah, no kidding.
I think that would be a lot of fun, but that's a story we can tell later on down the line. I thought she was going to show up and be the mystery partner for Roxanne Perez, if I'm honest, but then Cora Jade came back, and they're going to do that. And
it makes more sense with Cora, but I do agree. I was like, maybe they won't touch on her.
I said it. I think I said it in our big roundtable when we had Connor and Jordan and Cody with us as well. As much as everything makes sense and as much as the storytelling's been really good in WWE, what we're really missing is what the fuck are they doing? Where did that come from? Why is that a thing? I'm kind of ready for a moment like that. And Chelsea Green teaming up with Roxanne Perez would be that. It's like, oh my god, that doesn't make any sense. They're on two different rosters, and she's a champion, and she should be defending her title belt, and da-da-da-da, and why would her and Roxanne be friends? Yeah, do that. Do that so I can watch X explode.
Exactly.
Rather than, people being mad at Triple H and Roman Reigns because they spoke on things other than wrestling in a way that people didn't think was popular. And by the way, fuck off, people are allowed to have interior lives and their own thoughts.
Yeah. Speaking
of interior minds and our own thoughts, Jade Cargill's going to kick the shit out of Naomi, right?
I don't know. I originally thought so, but now I'm thinking Naomi might win just because of how we've seen it play out, and Jade would be the likely winner. Naomi with this recent heel turn, if they don't have plans for immediately for Jade to go right to the women's title or something after this,
which they should.
They should, but her destroying Naomi, I mean, unless it's got a bigger overall, then
her soft launch as a singles star is already in the mud.
Exactly.
And she already left the mud, so we don't want to do that. I'm an asshole. It's fine. Plus, you could tell a really, really awesome story of Jade Cargill beats Naomi. The only way Naomi has to lash out is to cost Bianca Belair the title the next night, and then we don't have to worry about Bianca being the world champion in a show that she's not on, in a story that she doesn't belong in, and blah, blah, blah. But we're not there yet. Jacob Fatu's killing LA Knight.
Honestly, I think I think Jacob is probably going to get the title here. That tends to be what happens. But because originally I said Jacob Fatu. That was my initial, and I'm going to stick with it. I think he's taking it here.
The only thought I have is it does depend on what we talked about before with Randy Orton, and Randy Orton potentially having a match against Solo Sikoa. If Solo Sikoa is facing Randy Orton, he's not going to have anything to do with Jacob Fatu. If he's not, and all the sort of second-tier bloodline are around ringside, seemingly putting the numbers advantage against LA Knight, I could see the discrepancies between Jacob Fatu and Solo costing him, and that being the thing that causes him to drop Solo, but it means he doesn't walk out with the title. And I don't want LA Knight walking out as champion just because his competitors couldn't get their shit together, because then nobody, like, LA Knight doesn't look good out of that.
No.
And I think LA Knight...
I don't want to see it's like Solo gets involved and Jacob wins. Like, I don't want to see any of that. And unless they're leading to Solo and Jacob, them facing each other, I really, because then, all right, Jacob gets screwed over here and LA Knight can move on to someone else. But
what I wouldn't mind, actually, is... because he's potential... I think he's finally cleared again. I think if the return of Tongaloa is a thing... and Jacob leads Tama Tonga and Tongaloa to the ring, and Solo's not there, and they fall out, but the two of them follow Jacob instead because he's a better leader, and they do the numbers game on LA Knight that way, I don't mind as much.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if it's just to facilitate the bloodline, the second bloodline falling apart, then it's wet fart in church material. Jacob Fatu wins is awesome because then you're also building the mirror images of him and Braun Breaker on Raw, and that's a story you could drag out for another year.
Yeah, certainly. So I just think Jacob wins, though. I think he's going to take the title, looks like a big dominant badass, and go on a pretty good run.
Tiffany Stratton, Charlotte Flair.
Ooh. See, this one people have eyes on now, and it's for the wrong reasons, but at least they have eyes on it.
Oh, well.
Which always makes me feel like, hey, was that a work shoot intended plan? But alas, it was not.
You mean the thing
promo battle? And
she did an interview the day before, and it just dropped every single bit of information that Tiffany used in the promo the next night. Yeah, that's not a thing. Is this a thing? Is this something? Is this anything? No. You've all been worked. Congratulations. Enjoy being worked. That's what wrestling is.
Exactly. So, I mean, yeah, they don't like each other, and yeah, there's issues, but they're trying to get people, I think, riled up as well. So it worked. It added to the match, certainly, whether it was real or not. It made it must-see, again, for the wrong reasons, because now everybody is wondering, can they actually do business? Can they pull up a good match, or is it going to be this disaster that we've seen with Charlotte happen a few times before?
So who you got winning this?
I still can't bet against a Flair. I got to go with Charlotte Wu here because I just see them giving her the belt. They gave her the win with the Rumble.
I think it's Charlotte Flair for Tiffany's benefit. Because I think what you're going to get is Charlotte's going to win, everybody's going to be pissed, Tiffany's going to fight her at Backlash, she's going to fail to get the title back, and they're going to build to a bigger moment at SummerSlam. A lot of what I think of WrestleMania this year, I'm not going to lie, a lot of my opinion and my guesswork going into WrestleMania this year has to do with the fact that they are promoting their first ever 2-night SummerSlam this year, and they need to make it big. They need to make it WrestleMania 2.0. They need to make it, as Simon Miller would say, hot WrestleMania. So I think, as funny as it sounds, I think they're doing a lot of whatever you want to say, like pre-booking, pre-storytelling. I think they're lighting a fuse here that ends at SummerSlam, whereas typically we say, oh, they light fuses around Survivor Series to get ready for WrestleMania. I think they've put that on its head a little bit. And
yeah, it certainly seems that way.
And I really hope they do, because, why have one? If one WrestleMania is good, then two must be better. I'm going for Charlotte if it leads to a bigger victory for Tiffany in the long run. And then on the other side of the coin, a nice big jewel in the crown of Tiffany Stratton, pun intended. If she wins on the night, it'll be fantastic. If she wins on the night and beats Charlotte Flair, you're never getting Tiffany Stratton booed again.
No, that's massive. And
Yeah.
but like you said, I think there's a bigger plan at play.
Yeah.
That was one of the things that we heard recently. Like Dolph Ziggler was going ahead, and he was basically talking about, you know, his well, Nick Namath was talking about his Dolph Ziggler days and how he went back to NXT, and then after a few weeks, they came up to him and they're like, "All right, so you're gonna lose, but," and he's like, "Really? I'm gonna lose the title match after all I did for you guys?" And you said I was, and they're like, hold on, let us tell you what our plan is." And he's like, "Oh, they have a plan. I'm not just losing."
Nice.
You know what I mean? Like, so he had to kind of like get used to the new booking style, whatnot. And they're like, "Here, we're going to have you win the title. And then Braun Breaker will get it back after this point. It'll put him over. Like, here's our plan. This is what we're going to do. But you're going to be the NXT champion. And you're going to, you know," and it played out great on TV. So the point basically is like before certain people would get screwed, they'd put in all this effort. Now they're like, "Hey, listen, we've got a plan. Does it always come to plan? Does it always come to fruition? No, but at least they have things active." A lot of the big quotes going around right now from Nick Khan and Triple H, you know, are either going against critics online, telling them to be fans, and telling people like we don't just hire people to shelve them. You know, we're not just putting people on the bench, which is a great line.
The benching thing, I just think back to a certain member of the IWC that anytime you told him anything that he didn't like, "You're benched. Let me tell you something, bro. You're benched."
It's funny how that still lives today.
You made
and you know
made
what?
a T-shirt with a bench on it because he's a fucking loser.
Hey,
and his cat.
To each their own. I avoided enough
I know.
name calling for long enough. But
you're the nice guy.
I will say
I'm
this.
not.
I will say this. I still can't help but laugh at the comments that they put out recently for Mania at the IWC directly and just trying to strike back at people. And I like the benching line, but you look and people immediately pointed out some examples. They're like, "Oh, what about Omos? You made him stop being tag champs and you took him in and he hasn't been on TV yet."
You know what kills me about that? Do you know what kills me about that? Because the two examples that they've used are Omos and Natalya, right?
Mm-hmm.
Natalya has been going around to a couple different indies, which is something WWE was bitched at for years for not doing, and now they're getting bitched at for doing it. And Omos is your only other single example.
Exactly. That was going to be my point.
At a push, and it's just because I don't think we see enough of him, at a push, you might be able to say Andrade.
But even then, he's had matches on TV. He's made, you know.
As I said, the words "at a push."
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying, though. It's like it's really not. And you don't know what they're doing with Omos. Maybe they have him in some type of training right now.
The fans is, this is what you are and this is what you're not. We value you, but we don't bow to you.
Yeah, and not to say that, but we know there's levels to stardom and fame and all of that, and some people are more valuable than others. It's just the way it goes. And the people we're talking about being benched are people that could be tag team or world champions or be major players in your faction, your roster, however you want to lay it out, as where the other side has. But it's like you say, you don't know what the plan is. So we're talking about Aleister Black. We're talking about Ray fucking Phoenix and Penta.
Yep.
Ricky Starks. There were people there that could have been something. Now Mariah May, like all you did was had her stupidly turn on Toni Storm for no reason. She already had the match with Toni. There was no reason for her to turn. She won the tournament as a face, and then after winning turns heel on her mentor. But she's already got the match to face her. Like that was the only idea they had for her.
If there's no animosity in AEW, then Tony Khan can't stand in the back, look at the non-reactive crowd, and say, "I need to pop somebody bleed."
But how many times have they turned somebody just because of the situation? As we're seeing at fucking WrestleMania, how many face versus face matches? How many heel versus heel? How many How
quickly did their world champion with the belt that we haven't seen in 6 months pass out last night?
Exactly.
We could do a whole other pod about how fucked the "Fuck You Bischoff" episode of Dynamite was. We're not doing that here because we're having a good time right now. But
absolutely.
Fuck them for burying two wrestlers that I really love and one on their debut. God
Josh
damn.
Alexander especially. And you know what really kills me?
Bury
it's
Athena,
like you said.
Bury Josh Alexander and stick Josh Alexander in the Callis family.
I don't want to shit on Natalya. She's a great, they call her the boat. She's great. She's earned her ranking certainly. But Natalya and Omos are the two you're using for all these examples.
And I'm sorry, if you want a good representative, a good concierge, whatever you want to call it, from WWE to other companies, you send somebody like Natalya. Tell me anybody in any Fed, big or small, isn't going to benefit from the know-how and the basics that Natalya can bring. From a
Absolutely.
technical point
That's
of
why
view,
it was great
from
to
a
have her in
bell-to-bell
NWA.
point of view, from any point of view. Like, no, is she on the top of the roster right now? Is she headlining WrestleMania? No. But people, especially people that are new, especially people that are developing, especially maybe even promotions that are developing, she's got a wealth of knowledge. Between her and TJ, think about what they could offer to an up and coming Fed, to an up and coming collection of talent, to a new audience that's never seen her. Like,
Absolutely.
oh, WWE doesn't contribute to the indie scene. Now you're contributing to the indie scene. Oh, but they should be on TV. Fuck off. I'm done.
Exactly. It's
I'm
like
done with them all.
make it, and they said that they claimed they were keeping Natalya off TV because they were keeping her from joining the Owen Hart Cup in AEW, and she was saying she never had a desire to go to AEW. She just wanted to go to the
want to
indies
say
elsewhere.
that people want to be there so goddamn badly. I need to get off this. It's WrestleMania weekend. I need to get off this. Dynamite pissed me off last night. Dynamite can go suck a fuck. They're vindictive. We really want to counter-program, WrestleMania week. We're going to put a show on Thursday to counteract two other companies because we don't like them because they're working with WWE. We really want to stick it to Eric Bischoff because we have a feud with WCW that hasn't existed in 20 years. But, we're going to have this big, gigantic flag in the sand moment. And you got beat by NXT again in a building with less than 3,000 people in it. And you need to fuck off.
Well, that's the thing. They're going off. Oh, we survived longer than. Well, NXT, is doing great. They got better ratings, right? Mm-hmm. You're going after WCW, which they could have kept going if they had a billionaire backer when they were at a deficit.
How many
times they were 60 million in the hole or whatever it was in 2001 when they were getting shut off and all that stuff went down.
WWE is the company that actually beat WCW, right? And how many times do the critics come in and say, oh my God, they're still talking about it. Oh my God, they need to get over it. Vince and Triple H, they just need to get over it. Now you've got another company that had nothing to do with that victory, that never stood toe-to-toe with AEW, even though they're AEW 2.0, and they're claiming a victory that's not there. And even that propaganda can't get you ratings and can't get asses in the seats. And yes, I used that terminology specifically.
Absolutely.
Speaking of asses in seats, you know what gets asses in seats?
Main
CM Punk.
Events.
CM
Absolutely.
Punk. Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins. I'm putting a caveat on this one. CM Punk is winning if Seth Rollins isn't leaving with Paul Heyman.
Okay, I like that, but I think Seth is winning. He's leaving with Paul, or at least Paul is going to become a type of non-factor between because he chooses not to help Roman or Punk. He ends up helping Seth, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because they're both expecting it.
Now people are really divisive on Roman because he said that he supports our president. So he even said in the interview that I'm a Democrat and I didn't vote for him, but I support him. And basically, the analogy I got is kind of what I always say, where if you're rooting against your president is like rooting against your airline pilot. You don't want the plane to crash just because you hate the pilot. Like, what? You don't want to take everyone down with you. What's the point? So
if you target the coach, don't get mad when you get kicked off the team.
Yes. And so Roman basically said that he's a registered Democrat, identifying centrist, and he explained his political stance by saying the choice in the most recent election was clear due to one candidate's direct communication. That's all he said.
That's the problem with that is that's a well thought out response, and these people don't like thinking. That's why they watch AEW.
Yeah, and people are saying, oh, the wrestlers you don't like don't have to think like you. It's like, no kidding. WWE doing the worst PR in Mania Week? I don't think so at all. I think this was a very educated thing. Really, the focus is that he's retiring next year.
I think it's wild that accusation. They don't have good PR. So good PR is go and tell the wrestlers that they have to agree with you on shit that has nothing to do with wrestling.
Exactly. They have to be yelling from the rooftops that they hate Trump.
I will to bring it back to kayfabe though. I do think it's wild, considering the past 5 years we've had, that there's not a soul on the planet that's picking Roman Reigns in this match.
That's true.
That's wild.
That is wild. And this is his, 10th or 11th main event in WrestleMania history?
Well,
Punk's first?
Well, we're gonna have what constitutes a main event discussion again another day.
Yeah.
For the purposes of this conversation,
but for him, he's
yes.
had many legit main events. You know, how many shows has he closed out now? 31, 32, 33,
Yep.
34.
Well, they counted last year's as 2 because they wanted to get over the Hogan thing because they're not spiteful or anything.
No, certainly not.
I'm going with Punk. Like I say, if Heyman doesn't leave with Seth.
I also think because Roman City's retiring after next year's Mania and heading into Hollywood, so that gives us a year with him. And
do you think they finally do? I don't even know if I want to see it at this point. Do you think they do Rock Roman and then they both walk into the sunset?
It could be.
Because I think that would be because the last time there was something like that was Lesnar and Goldberg Part 1, where everybody knew they were fucking off and everybody shat on the match, and they brought in Austin to get people to not go to the bathroom.
Yes.
But you could have a good version of The Rock's come back to do some stuff, and he's going to walk into the sunset and do his like TKO role. Roman's going to do Hollywood. Roman's out there fucking modeling right now, trying to be the next Old Spice guy, I'm pretty sure. But yeah,
I know, but Roman, all he said was that one candidate made the decision clear. He didn't even say it back to anybody, and people are wishing to have his cancer come back and kill him. It's like, that's the bad PR.
You might as well be sitting in the middle of the field at a track meet. Anyway, moving swiftly on before I get myself kicked off YouTube. Even though I'm on multiple other platforms, please find me on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, and Rumble by searching Spaz Phoenix Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts from. Night 2. We're going to start off pissing me off. It's going to be great. Love Rhea Ripley. I don't think she should win this, though. I really think you need to put it on Io Sky, considering this entire feud with her and Belair has been the two of them pie-facing Io Sky.
Yeah, Io needs to walk out with the title. She lost it last year to Bayley. She's had, no great Mania moment, and she felt like the ultimate afterthought in all of this. They could still do something by turning Bianca heel, especially during this match. That would be great. But you got 3 faces, and Io's the forgotten redheaded stepchild in all of it, sadly. I think that she needs to retain here to look strong, or else why put the belt on her for those few weeks anyways? Just as a shock, that feels like a huge waste.
Mm-hmm. Of course it does. I know I'm trying to fabricate a lot of like WrestleMania feel-good moments, but if they're cleared, this would be a great night to have Kairi and Asuka return, so that when she wins, she can celebrate with Damage Control, actually as a complete group for the first time in forever.
That would be something.
Not saying they have to get involved in the match, mind you.
No, but
and I still like my idea.
Asuka, Kairi, isn't Asuka coming back soon?
She should be. Kairi is jacked. Have you seen Kairi
Yes, she
recently?
looks insane.
She's
all muscles.
I would even go as far as to say, because I think she's babyfaced now until they turn her heel again. Even if you get Bayley in there, like, hey, we had our falling out. Like, there was a point where Damage Control was 5 women strong. How awesome was that? Yeah. Even if you have some like backstage celebration thing going on or whatever. But
you heard it internationally. People weren't even as hyped for Rhea as they were for Io. They booed Bianca because she doesn't fit in this scenario, and then they were all about Io. They didn't even really care that much about Rhea.
I think before they jammed Bianca Belair into this match that she didn't need to be in, I think people were genuinely excited about the match. Io and Ripley together do really awesome stuff, and they have done really awesome stuff since NXT.
Yeah.
Io is one of the
I get the story element of what they tried to do. Okay, so Io got ruined by Rhea's rage, so she lost her qualifying match.
I know they tried to focus on that, like Ripley's never beaten Io. I wasn't even focusing on that part of the story. I just like watching the two of them in the ring.
Exactly. The story was there, is my point. Like, they could have had this for Mania, and it would have been great seeing Rhea lose to Io at Mania.
Io Sky does a thing with Rhea Ripley, where Rhea Ripley's going to face people like big like her. She's going to face Jade Cargill at some point. She's going to face Raquel Rodriguez again. She's going to square off with Zarya at some point. She's going to square off with Jordan Grace at some point. Io Sky is one of the few wrestlers who's not big like Ripley, who doesn't feel small fighting Rhea Ripley.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
No, that makes perfect sense.
And I think Kairi Sane's following suit, because damn! Anyways, I don't even like that this match exists. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez versus Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. Liv and Raquel win. I don't care if it's by Healy means. I don't want Bayley and Lyra to win this. Not because I don't like them, but because it doesn't make sense.
No, and I also see whoever wins the kickoff show on Friday will face the win. Yeah,
on Saturday.
Saturday, excuse me. And they'll go ahead and face, on Tuesday for NXT, the women's tag champ. So I think Liv and Raquel retain, absolutely.
If I get my way on Saturday afternoon, and it is Tatum and Gigi versus Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez just sounds like a fun match. I don't particularly see them winning, even though I'd like it. But the match, I want to see Tatum and Liv Morgan square off.
The only ones I see winning would be Cora and Roxanne as their call-up.
But I don't think they would do their first main roster match on an NXT show. I think you'd have to do a lot of fast talking to make that work. I mean,
that's the problem with it. Yeah.
If you look at the pushes, right? On both NXT and TNA, the girls from Metaphor are getting a hell of a push. I wouldn't be surprised if they went with them. Jakara Jackson's a little bit bigger. She could square off with Raquel Rodriguez again. I don't think that would be a bad thing. But also,
certainly not.
We've seen them quite a bit. The group with Tatum and Gigi and sometimes Shotzi was a thing, and then it wasn't, and then it's kind of half started a couple of times. I'd love to see them get some promotional weight behind them. But this tag match here, I don't like it because I love all four women in the match, and they've put a match together that I don't want to see. And that's not great. And that's on WWE at the end of the day. Maybe controversial, maybe not. I got Logan Paul beating AJ Styles.
I do as well.
Really?
I like the impulsive. I think Logan gets more from the win here. The pulverizer, yes.
Sorry, impulsive is the podcast.
Podcast. That's what I keep calling it, too. I don't know why I keep doing that. The pulverizer. I keep going backwards.
Some say it's the best podcast.
It's too dangerous. That's what it is.
Fantastic.
No, honestly, it keeps going back in my mind because the pulverizer, that's another version of his name. Instead of impulsive, it's the pulverizer.
Paul American.
Pauls. Exactly. So, I think Paul will win here, and I could certainly see his brother being a guest or someone. He's going to have some notable person with him.
If the music stopped and he had somebody very special to announce him to ringside. They say he's the greatest. I would never say that. That's what they tell me. It's Logan Paul.
I think it's happening.
I was on his show. It was fantastic.
I honestly think it's happening. I think we're getting some major guest, and possibly his brother, but somebody's going to be coming out with him, and that will lead to Logan getting the upper hand, beating AJ. They can even have another stipulation match at Backlash or anything going forward if need be. But this might just be one and done.
It'll be like the Tiffany Stratton thing that we said earlier, right? I think AJ will get the win back, but Logan Paul is, whether you like him or not, and I know people out there don't, you're lying to yourself if you're saying he's a bad wrestler.
Absolutely.
You just are. Ricochet went over to AEW. He's just being a fucking cockwobble now, but I can't say he's a bad wrestler.
No, Twitter Ricky's been Ricochet there. He's been busy. He started freaking out on everybody yesterday. And
you know what's kind of fucked though, and I mean this in all due respect, right? Samantha Irving left WWE. She wanted to pursue her music stuff and whatever, and now she's been asked to be part of Wrestlemania. The headline on one of the dirt sheets was Ricochet's wife to perform at Wrestlemania.
Yeah,
come on.
I guess because that's her only tie to the wrestling world now is him, besides her history.
No,
so
that ain't it though, man. Everybody loves her as an announcer.
Yeah, I think they're just thinking Ricochet is the bigger name now, or more notable.
I would debate that.
I would too. But
I would debate that entirely. Okay, interesting one, because it's gonna break my heart, because what makes sense isn't what I want. Fatal 4-Way for the Intercontinental Championship. Braun Breaker, Penta, Finn Balor, Dominic Mysterio.
You and I both want Finn.
Yep.
We know that. I'm a huge Balor fan. I've been watching him for ages. Of course, I want to see him dominate and finally be champion, especially because he's worked so hard to make this belt seem important to him.
And he's built, and I hate to use the typical IWC language or whatever, but he's built everybody around him.
Yes.
He's
made everyone look great.
He was a big part of Damien's rise. He's a big part of Dominic's rise. He was a big part,
Even Cody's rise with the things they did with Judgment Day and like, the War Games and all that shit.
I dare say Ripley would have made it on her own. I'll go with that. But like his interactions with Dominic, the fact that he's legitimately the trainer and like tutor of JD McDonough, who gave a rib for this business.
Yeah, literally.
Even if it's not this, like this is what it happens to be right now. I want Finn to have something, and I want him to have something substantial. The guy was the first ever Universal Champion, and he held it for a day.
Yeah, barely a full day, and then he had to relinquish it. And again, the buckle bomb, that move just keeps coming out to wreck everybody. Pac last week, But they even had Hook vomiting in the ring.
I'm pretty sure Braun's retaining, right?
You think so?
But the fact is, I could make better arguments for Braun, Penta, and Dominic than Finn, but I still want Finn to win. Braun Breaker is on a push. He's the it guy. He's the Brock Lesnar next big thing guy. Well deserved, right? Dominic,
absolutely.
Dominic is purely like, you can tell a lot of funny stories. It'll be kind of ridiculous. It'll be the, oh my God, I can't believe they did that moment of WrestleMania maybe. But he's sneakily, like, even though he's going around still being a sneaky ass chicken shit heel, hiding behind Liv, hiding behind Raquel, hiding behind Carlita and whatever, he's sneakily becoming a really good wrestler.
Yes.
And I think when he turns up, when he, drops the group, or maybe goes off on his own and does something, or maybe gets drafted to a different brand, or maybe has a real run in NXT. Call me crazy. Dominic Mysterio finally dropping the group, going by himself, and having a legitimate, not just going down and stealing the North American title and coming back up again.
No,
but
actually
like a full run.
Yeah,
could be really interesting. And Penta,
that could raise his stock huge and put him over high.
Penta deserves it. Penta is a star. From WWE's point of view, they are on this push right now to say, come on over here, this is how we're going to treat you.
Yeah, this is one of the matches that I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So
I'm gonna predict Braun retains. I want Finn. And if they surprise me by giving me what I actually want here, I'm going to be doubled over surprised.
Yeah, I want Finn, but I think Dominic is pinning Finn Balor. Honestly, I think that's the story, especially because Liv set it up in such a way where she was like, "Hey, it doesn't matter who wins, so long as one of you two win, it's back in Judgment Day," kind of idea.
But there's going to be a moment where all the Judgment Day that are at ringside choose who they want it to be, because all of them, like from Carlito to Liv to Raquel, they all think they control Dominic and they can't control Finn.
I think we might get two things out of this. I think we might get Finn leaving the group and he'll end up being turning and they'll push him. Or if Breaker does lose, then we go ahead and we get Braun Breaker challenging Jey Uso for the title not long from now, because they had a really good series. They had a really fun back and forth, and that's something that I could clearly see them putting time, effort, and money into because of,
I think I told you who I want the first challenger for Jey to be. Did we do this before already?
I believe so, but
it would be entirely disposable, and obviously Jey would win. First title defense goes to Logan Paul.
Okay.
I think it's an interesting match.
I think that's a great match. And Logan did really well against Roman going for the title too.
You can tie it to that as well. Have Jey do the whole "you couldn't beat Roman, what makes you think you can beat me" type thing. But I think just like from the perspective of a bell-to-bell match, it is one of those, I want to see what that looks like matches.
Yeah, certainly.
Another feel-good thing for this, if Dom wins, Braun leaves, Penta leaves. The remaining Judgment Day just beats the shit out of Finn, saved by JD. Finn and JD go off and be a tag team.
I could see that.
I would love to see that. The whole mental.
Yeah. They touched on it a little too. They did a little bit when they held the tag titles, but it wasn't enough.
Because there was a backstage promo when they won the tag titles initially, where it was Finn just putting over JD and like how they met and how he trained him and whatever, and it was really cool to see, but it was also like, oh, we're having this feel-good moment with these heels that we're supposed to boo. Like, now we can do it 100%.
Yeah. Now
and
we
you gotta
can
remember,
get
like,
fully
back in the
onto
day,
it.
when there was when there was two cruiserweight champions, when it was Santos Escobar and JD McDonough, and they were both cruiserweight champion, and they had the ladder match as arranged by Shawn Michaels to crown the undisputed NXT cruiserweight champion. JD can go, man. If he hasn't
he can.
If he hasn't proven that by exploding his midsection across the desk and then continuing the match, I want to see JD up on his own. But if the way we get there is him tagging with Finn for a bit, it's all right. Have them do like double demons or something like that.
It certainly works. I mean, it's not a bad way to handle it.
Double demon dipping.
I'm down for it. I mean, get the return of the demon, get the return. Like, imagine if Dominic does take the title and now Finn has to go ahead.
Oh my God, Demon Finn Balor versus Dominic Mysterio in the corner shitting his pants.
Mm-hmm. That could be so much fun. So there's a lot to this.
Finn beats him at Backlash and Ray just comes out and laughs at him.
As much as Penta deserves it and whatnot, I think the first belt we're going to see Penta get, if it's not a singles title, would be the tag titles. And I know that sounds so cliche to say with him, but it really just suits so well.
I can't wait for them to be a team. But I also want to wait for them to be a team. I want to see them go on two parallel runs.
I don't want them to immediately get to each other either. Yeah, so that's
clearly
their entrances getting a title, but
clearly their entrances are meant to almost mirror each other.
Yeah,
right down to the font
intentionally.
But I mean, you could also write that off as they're related. They're going to be stylistically similar. It's fine.
Certainly.
You don't have to worry about it. A match where I don't care who wins, but not because I think it's going to be a bad match, but because I think it's going to be such a good match that I don't care who wins, is the Sin City Street fight between Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre. I really don't have a pick here. I'm just going to sit back and watch them beat the tar out of each other.
Yeah, I do have a pick here. I think Drew wins. I think Drew needs it more than Damian. Damian has not had much since losing that title. But I feel like Drew has lost more notable matches and moments. Like, he keeps getting screwed over and taken out, and all these issues happen. So I can see them being like, hey, you've earned, your moment in the sun, and that'll build him up to maybe another title defense, title chance, that kind of idea. I think Drew needs it more than Priest, but they could do it either which way. I'm not going to be upset if Priest wins either. That's kind of the thing. So I think
Drew. I think they both need it. I think Drew can shoulder a loss more.
Yeah,
because Priest took a lot of arrows as far as how a lot of people received his first world title run. Some of it was unfair, some of it was maybe a little less than stellar, but I think he got a lot more negativity than he deserved in that. So I'd love to see him come back. Drew is already a main eventer. Damian Priest, I think a lot of people are on this negative trend of like, oh, he's trying to be a main eventer. So from that point of view, I think you might make the case that Priest needs it a little bit more. Priest, even in storyline-wise, moving over to SmackDown to get away from old rivals, to get away from old friends, to have a fresh start. He's not a new guy, but he wants to be a new guy. So there is that sort of like starting from scratch thing with him. So from that point of view, there's no way anybody can say that Drew McIntyre is starting anything from scratch.
No.
So I might lean towards they both need it, but Damian Priest might be more damaged by a loss, and that might be your tiebreaker.
Yeah, that kind of feels to be
I might lean to Priest in this one, and they're telling the story where Drew is his own worst enemy anyway, so you could even do it in a way that doesn't hurt Drew.
Which you absolutely could.
So
it all just depends.
I take back what I said where I don't care. I think I'm leaning towards Priest, but like 51-49 type.
Okay. Yeah, as where I'm leaning more the other way. I'm thinking more, hey, I want to see him win. Yeah. I want to see Drew be dominant and see what we get from there.
Well, I mean, they're both on SmackDown, and clearly John Cena is going to win the WWE title. First defense against Damian Priest would be an interesting match.
That would be, or they could do it against Drew too, because they're not really caring about heel and face meetups. They're more focused with people just being people.
Yeah, but anyways, I think we've kind of backdoored into the main events.
No, absolutely, because a lot of the matches typically always build up in such a way that it's like, hey, we need this, we need that to happen, we're focused on this or that. But when you look at how it all breaks down, For the most part, they've changed a lot of their styles. It used to be, it has to be face versus heel no matter what.
Yeah.
If one of the two are going to be the person they choose, then we're going to pick one of you two. And a lot of it, I feel like that sentiment really started to happen with Cena and Rock especially. Because they even tried to make Shawn Michaels a bit of like the anti-Undertaker and a bit of a heel in some ways at certain points with Taker and coming and attacking him.
When he came in all the white and everything at WrestleMania.
Yeah. So,
playing the role of Mordecai tonight is Shawn Michaels.
It certainly happened. So
spared no expense.
But yeah, there's a lot of people for John Cena to face. I really hope we get that Joe Hendry match at some point before he retires.
Joe Hendry randomly runs in on the main event of WrestleMania and causes disqualification.
But no, honestly, I think that Cena has to retain here. Or not retain, win. Cena has to get the title, yeah.
Yeah. And this is something we talked to death already, but it's worth mentioning again. It's nothing against Cody Rhodes. It's just right now, Cody Rhodes winning is the boring result.
Yeah, I mean, he's had the title for just about a year, essentially, a little bit over, and we've gotten good matches, but I don't really feel like we've gotten any great feuds. It's pretty much just been Challenger of the Month, and we've gotten a new one each time. He hasn't faced anybody multiple times, really, and done multiple matches or continue on with the story. Like him and Owens, basically, that was the Rumble before, everything he had was a certain, we're going to focus on Gunther for a bit because you're both champions, stuff like that.
Here's an idea, because I doubt that they want to send everybody home on a complete down note, right? And there's a lot of speculation that...
They have in the past, though.
It's true. Austin turning heel and joining McMahon and... Yeah.
Not even just that. People still wanted to cheer him because it was still just like, hey, Austin won, so it wasn't
it's
like
still Austin in Texas.
Yeah, so that was like more of a weird take. But think about the times where we've had like Brock Lesnar beat Roman at 34 for no reason. He retains the title, and it's like Roman didn't get it yet, and that was kind of the thing.
Yeah, but I think the problem with that is people were also getting sick of Roman, so it wasn't a completely heartbreaking, downtrodden, everybody leaves quietly type thing.
No, because people just shit all over the match and hijacked it.
It wasn't Infinity War.
No, certainly not.
But I'm just thinking, because there's been a whole lot of speculation, we haven't seen The Rock, I wonder what The Rock's going to do at WrestleMania, and people have said it in their minds that at the end of night 2, in that match, it's going to be The Rock that comes down and helps John Cena beat Cody Rhodes. There's going to be a 2-on-1 beatdown, and for some reason the glass is going to shatter, and Austin's going to come down and side with Cody. And
what if Cody loses the title, but that's when they're destroying the shit out of him, and Austin comes to save him? This is the
speculation that I'm hearing, right? Is that like Rock's going to be in John Cena's corner? Obviously, they've already set the thing down for that, and everybody seems to think that after the match, there's going to be a 2-on-1 beatdown, and the odds are going to be evened by Stone Cold Steve Austin, and it's going to be. Cody lost the match, but, stunners for everybody at the end of the night, send home everybody happy, because it's Cody and Austin on one side of the Rock and John Cena on the other side.
I wonder if that takes away from Cena's win, though.
Now, that's a lot of fun.
I think they want to get away from fun. I think they want to make it painful. Like, John wins, he's taking this title away from everybody.
I'm saying if they want to leave it on a high note.
Yeah, I think we're getting the very sad, solemn Cody's dead and John's got the belt.
I have a better option, and it'll set you up for 100 stories going forward.
Hit me.
So you've got, what do you have? You have John Cena, who's just beaten Cody. Cody's downtrodden. In his worst moment, here comes The Rock. The Rock and John Cena beating the shit out of Cody, and fill in the blank comes to even the odds, comes to get a shot at The Rock, comes to get a shot at John Cena, comes to, be in Cody's corner, look Cody in the eye, and all that kind of thing. What if that fill in the blank isn't Austin?
Okay.
What if it's Punk?
That's not a bad idea either, because they had the story at the Rumble where, it was Seth that cost him, but he lost to John, so you can make this
2 years in a
thread
row.
Connect.
2 years in a row, months before WrestleMania, CM Punk has said to Cody, you and I are going to fight for the title at WrestleMania.
Yeah. And it hasn't happened yet.
It hasn't happened yet. So, but he did the same thing that Randy Orton did. He said, I'm not going to stab you in the back. I'm not going to turn on you. I'm not going to betray you. I'm going to stand in front of your face when it's time for me to take that title from you. But until then, let's kick the shit out of John Cena and The Rock.
Yeah.
Love Austin. Love the guy for whatever he's contributed to the entire industry. The pop on the night for the broken glass would be huge.
Massive, yeah.
But
and he's already there. But at least last year he wasn't involved in anything. But if you want to do something
that's not just a big pop on one night, put CM Punk in that spot.
Yeah, certainly.
Anyways, we did it. We did it relatively quickly for us.
We did, for us especially. I mean, any other surprises that we think of? Are we going to see Aleister Black or Rusev? Or I think they're saving all of them for the upcoming Raw, SmackDown after Mania.
Have a couple of surprises, right? Because they're already teasing Aleister Black on SmackDown anyway, right? He could show up tomorrow night on SmackDown for all we know. He could come. The thing with Orton might not be a surprise. Maybe he comes out on Friday night and challenges Orton.
Yeah.
And they announce it ahead of time. But you know what? Even if they don't do something like, I don't know, like with Rusev, with some of the other people, even with Becky Lynch, who we know is coming back and wouldn't even necessarily be a surprise, just have them chilling in the audience. You know what? They're here. They wave at the crowd. They wave at the audience. They're going to be joining us again soon. Can't wait to see them in a couple of weeks.
I'm a sucker for a big surprise.
I am
a shock
too.
Comeback, all of that. So
I am
for
too.
me, I'd rather wait. But
I am too. But if they just want to make a simple announcement, hey, we're happy to welcome Rusev and maybe not Aleister Black. He's kind of the one that needs a little bit of presentation, right?
He needs some fanfare.
Rusev or Becky or, like I say, with people, more so for people returning, like your Asukas, your Kairi Sanes, just have them in the crowd.
Yeah.
Like, don't have them necessarily come out with Io Sky, but it's like, oh, look who we've got over here behind commentary in the first row. They're here to support the same way you see when they're near Florida and on Monday Night Raw, and they randomly just show NXT talent that just happened to be there that night.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we're going to see anybody at Stand and Deliver. Oi, oi, oi. Because last year we got Julia. We usually get somebody, Bobby Roode and all these people, have come by and made themselves known at that show. So
here you go. Typically, here's a headline you're going to see one day. Kenny Omega has finally been called up to NXT. I'm an asshole. Tell them where to find you.
I don't know if he cut a promo this week, but after last week's promo, I don't want to hear that man pick up a microphone ever again.
With his story about the dogs and the poo.
Oh, so bad. So, well, for us, we're going to be having a big weekend. That's right. We'll be live after Stand and Deliver, oi, oi, oi. And then from there, we'll be live for Night 1 of WrestleMania. Night 2 will be live as well on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, all of it. You'll be involved on Night 2. Going to be a great time. We'll recap everything. Sunday during the day, we'll also have a late morning, early afternoon stream to see what news is about and kind of go back over Night 1 and if anything noteworthy needs to be discussed. But it's all going to be a great time. So you can find me on YouTube, Jake DeMarco, or at Countdown Ended. Same as on Twitter, Rumble, Twitch, all of it at Countdown Ended.
Fantastic. And I'm going to say it right now so that everybody within the sound of my voice can hear it. I'm going to be definitely joining you after Night 2 of WrestleMania. I'm going to try and join you after the Las Vegas episode of NXT because I think some cool shit's going to come down there.
Yeah.
Going to see where else I can fit in. But, guys, even if I'm not there, please go check out Jake. Check out all the cool shit he's doing. For your watch-along content, like I always do, I'm going to encourage you, go check out the Wrestling for Life guys. I think they're literally live watching TNA right now as we're recording, but go check out those guys.
I believe they are.
Those guys are reviewing all the wrestling you can put on a plate. Jake's going to have your afters. I'll be there for some of it, but you guys know where to find me, you guys, none of you would be here if you didn't know where to find me. I fucked up the exit already. But I've been Spaz, your YWC Reality Check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, happy WrestleMania weekend. I've been Spaz. This has been Super Sexy Jake DeMarco, and we are tagging out. Bye, guys.
We made it to Stand and Deliver. Oi, oi, oi.
Boom.